Welcome back to the Boneyard Podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Shafit, and my good friend, Artemis Brower. Artie, episode 163.
Yes, sir.
How we doing?
3. Woo! I'm going to bring energy tonight, man. I'm going to bring it. I'm tired. I am tired as I don't know what. If you see me fumbling the bag a little bit, it's because I'm exhausted from this past week traveling to Durham from Winston-Salem every single day this week. But we do what we do to get to the bag. But I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm excited to be recording another episode.
For sure. Yeah, man. It's good seeing you. Hate that you're having to do that, but like you said, whatever you got to do to secure the bag, and you're doing the right thing. So good to have that. And Artie, I mean, what a week it's been for the Boneyard Podcast. We're gonna talk about it. I mean, we're gonna talk about it. There's a lot that has transpired in the last week or so. Since I would say about an hour after the App State game, a lot's gone down. We'll talk about all of it. We're an open book here at the Boneyard Podcast. But first things first, Artie, 163, number 63. You got one?
I do have a 63, and I do appreciate the assist on this number 63. Thank you for that. But that is one Jeff Saturday. Awesome guy. Obviously legend with the Indianapolis Colts during that long Peyton Manning era in Indianapolis. Won a Super Bowl with the Colts. I think he's on the Colts, Ring of Legacy or Hall of Honor, Hall of Fame, whatever they have in Indy. But don't know all his stats. I just know that he's a great. I think he's a Hall of Famer. If not, he's going to be a Hall of Famer because he was absolutely one of the best centers in the league for a decade plus. So Jeff Saturday, I don't know if he's not still coaching the Colts, is he? I think that was just like a little temporary thing, right? I have no idea if Jeff Saturday is actually still coaching the Colts. I really don't. I don't follow the Colts.
The coaches at the NFL level change so much that honestly, if I tried to keep up with every single head coach at the NFL level, like I unless I'm getting paid, that's the only way I'm doing it.
Hey, but look, this is what I'll say. Back-to-back weeks, 2 centers, 2 big uglies. All right. I'm giving them the respect and credit that is due to the guys that protect the pretty boys back there. All right. So shout out Jason Kelsey last week. Shout out Jeff Saturday this week.
For sure. All right. My 63. Artie, I'm going to ask you, is this chalk for the Boneyard Podcast? No,
hold on.
Right?
I didn't even look. Let me look at this. I mean, yeah, this is chalk. I mean, if you're a pirate, you don't know this name, you're not really a pirate. So
none other, my number 63, none other than former East Carolina University pitcher, currently a starter for the Cleveland Guardians, formerly the Cleveland Indians. I guess he never really pitched for the Indians, but drafted 23rd overall in the 2021 draft, has pitched in 16 games, started every single one of those for Cleveland after making his debut on June 21st. He's got 3 wins, 5 losses, a 3.29 ERA, 82 innings pitched, 81 strikeouts. Almost a strikeout an inning guy right now. None other than Gavin Williams. Big G money.
Love it.
I mean, you got to go with him. Like when he's right there, you got to go with it, right? Like it's as easy as that. Gavin Williams. Look, the Guardians are honestly, the Guardians are kind of trash right now, but Gavin's on that 5-man rotation, and I think he's going to be there to stay for a while. I mean, that 3.29 ERA, that's not bad. And
not bad at all.
Look, wins and losses doesn't matter anymore. Nobody cares about wins and losses. It's a team sport, and you got to have an offense to be able to win ball games. And I mean, Gavin's team doesn't really have much offense. So, yeah, number 63, Gavin Williams. Artie, I'll say this again. I said it last year, and I think I talked about it a little bit last week on the podcast. Number 63 is my favorite number personally. It's just my favorite number 63. In all the video games I play, my character wears number 63. I wore number 63 on the Chi-Fi B-side intramural football team. Shout out, Roll Chi. And then Artie, I mean, it's a good number. Like it's a random number, but it's also not a random number. It's divisible by 3. 3 is the best number.
I wouldn't know. I rocked the real numbers. I rocked 8 and 6 and 24 because I was a big Kobe guy. So 8 and 24 were my numbers. So, but anything past 24, you can miss me with that. I don't know what it feels like to rock a 63 or 52 or any of those.
It's one of those numbers where when you wear it and you're great, people remember it. And I mean, when you juke out somebody to send your team to the championship, rocking the number 63, nothing feels better. Okay. I mean, number 63 on the field, but number 1 in your heart.
There it
your
is.
Boy, Jared Shafit. Artemis.
Talk to me.
The Boneyard Podcast is proud to be members of the Variety Sports Podcast Network. Variety Sports, go check them out. We're doing our NFL picks of the week. I sent in my NFL picks. Here, I can read them off. We had 5 games to pick from. Mine, Artie. Let's see. Where's the text? All right, yeah. Here we go. The text. So we were talking Giants, 49ers, Buffalo, Washington, Falcons, Lions, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and Rams, Cincinnati. We had to give our picks, our score predictions. Yeah. I'm gonna roll through mine. You tell me how you think I'm gonna fare this week, okay?
All right, let's roll.
All right, San Francisco 31, Giants 17.
Okay.
Buffalo 27, Washington 21. Atlanta 33, gonna go 3-0 to start the season. My Falcons rise up, baby. 33, Detroit 24. Pittsburgh and Vegas. Vegas 28, Pittsburgh 21. And then I got the Rams beating the Bengals 20-14. How you feeling about that?
I like the first two picks. I don't have the Falcons going 3-0 or beating the Lions. I do not have the Steelers losing to Vegas just because I don't believe in Jimmy G like that. He ain't going – not against that defense. Did you see what that defense did Monday night? He ain't putting up no numbers against that defense. He's not.
That defense looked like East Carolina's defense had they been able to stop the ball. For ECU.
Jimmy G not doing nothing on that Steelers defense. And then what was the last one?
Rams, Bengals.
Oh yeah, the Bengals are 0-2. They're gonna beat the hell out the Rams. They got to win.
They got to win.
They gotta Even though that Puka Nacua, whatever his name is, I picked him up on waivers the other day. He's killing it.
I mean, yeah, what a pickup. I mean, I was trying to find him, but I think you slid in right before I could get to him.
His numbers the first 2 weeks, I'm like, yo, I gotta stash him on the bench real quick. That is crazy.
Undrafted rookie, right?
Yeah, he's putting up some numbers.
Yeah, and then I saw somebody picked up Kareem Hunt in our. We have the $100. You have $100 to spend on what the waiver wire. I saw somebody in our fantasy league put like $36 on Kareem Hunt. I was like, that's a lot of money to put on Kareem Hunt.
No, I tried to pick up Ford for the Browns when Nick Chubb got. I put 40 on Ford, thinking that was going to be enough. And Sony put 51. I think it was Quiggles put 51 on him. I was like, ugh, it's a little too stiff for me, but I respect it.
How you doing in fantasy right now? I'm 1-1.
2-0, baby. We undefeated right now.
Hey, as long as I don't come in last, I'm good.
Thanks.
I don't want to come in last this year. But all right, Artie, let's get into it. We're going to talk App State, ECU, and then we're going to preview East Carolina's matchup with Gardner Webb coming up this weekend. Artie, the good, the silver lining, one might say. The defense scored twice. Hey, if your offense can't score, hopefully your defense can. And that's what we got. Shout out the 17-year-old freshman Antoine Jackson.
That's crazy.
With his first career pick, taking it to the house for pick six. Antoine Jackson. I mean, what a start to his college career. I mean, he should be a senior in high school right now, but he's playing D1 football and making pick sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an athlete. Shout out Antoine Jackson. Got to keep him with his girlfriend on the basketball team.
Right. That's the only way he's staying in Greenville. That's the only way.
What somebody should do is fund the NIL should. I
was about to that NIL money is gonna come knocking though.
So. What we need we need like a marriage counselor that can give money to Team Boneyard and sponsor Antoine Jackson and keep that relationship going. I don't care. And then junior Siobhan Revel honestly, I had no idea what was going on. When he had that scoop and score,
right? Yeah.
I had no idea what was going on. Like I was watching, all I see is him taking off down the field, and I'm like, where's he running? Like, what's going on? Who's he running from? And he was just running by himself, and he had the ball and scooped and scored for a touchdown. And
side note, I just want to mention, I was trying to keep up with this game. I was literally watching this game, or at least trying to watch this game on my phone at my childhood friend's, her daughter's first birthday party. We were out in Lexington. And I'm literally sitting at this child's birthday party, and everybody's doing, the kumbaya and talking and all that. And I'm sitting here on my phone trying to keep up with this app ECU game. So,
yeah, it was a great game for, 3 quarters. Yeah.
That kind of sounds familiar to the Marshall game, right? It's a good game for 3 quarters.
Yep. Other good, Artie. I liked what I saw out of, the Aussie punter, Luke Larson. When your offense doesn't. What's that?
I was making a joke. I said the 40-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Dude's got 3 kids and a whole family to feed, all the mouths to feed.
Driving them in the class.
Yeah. His if you go on ECU's website, his major just says MBA. It just says MBA. It doesn't say anything else. Just he's getting his MBA. That's his major. Luke Larson, he seemed to have figured it out this year. 2 years ago we were all happy with Luke Larson. Last year, Luke Larson was public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
And then now he seemed to find what he had back in that 2021 season. Now, granted, he doesn't have the longest leg at times, but his punting style, that Aussie punting style, every once in a while he can get a long one that rolls out and gets down inside the 10-yard line, right? And he had one on Saturday, I believe, downed at like the 3 or the 2. Just an insane punt. Great punt to see. And like I said, if your offense can't do anything and you're having to rely on the defense to score points, we look like the new Iowa out there with scoring points off of defense. You could really make a case to say that the defense has scored 3 touchdowns and the offense has only gotten 2.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can actually make that case, because the only touchdown we scored in the Marshall game was gift wrapped by the defense. So
Yeah. So I mean, that's good to see. And then the offense, like it looked improved, right? I think Alex Flynn, his composure, he looks more composed than Mason Garcia, and we've been saying that since week 1. And I think that helped, but we still can't throw the ball, or we still can't figure out how to get north south with our passes.
Yeah,
and we're throwing little screen passes and just getting blown up at the line of scrimmage. And it is honestly infuriating to watch at times. I don't want to be. I saw a comment earlier this week that we were too negative. I don't know. If you say we're too negative, you probably don't listen to the podcast that often.
I mean,
We are the biggest homers
if
out
anything,
there.
if anything, we're not critical enough. At times
and I mean, we got to figure out. And Coach Donnie K, I mean, give him credit. Give him credit. He said we got to figure it out on first and second down, because he said we practice third down probably more than anybody in the country, and we suck on third down. So
every offensive coordinator, that means nothing to me. Every offensive coordinator in the country, we practice the most third, that we do everything we can to make sure third down is going to be great. Come on, man.
I mean, I guess it's great when your third down package is, hey, let's run it up the middle. Yeah. So, but the offense looked improved. That first drive was the best drive they had all season, and still, that was the best drive. And the thing about it was, it seemed like they did well coming off, like they had the game script, but once the script changed and once you got into the game and you couldn't go off the script and you were having to actually call plays and go with the ebbs and flows of a game, ECU fell off.
That's the problem, though, Jared. Football is not a script.
Exactly.
It's not a script.
They scripted the first drive perfectly.
You're playing chess, not checkers out here, and you have to have ebb and flows. So
exactly. Checkmate. So that's the good. The offense looked improved, but it still wasn't where it needs to be. Okay. It's just too predictable, and that's the first thing I have in the bad is the offense is too predictable. Right? We need to find offense. We need to find scoring. And it can't always come from the defense. You can't expect your defense to be on the field for more than 60% of the game and still win. You can't expect that. And Coach Harrell, I mean, he said, hey, we didn't compete as hard in the second half as we did in the first half. Probably because your defense is on the field every 4 plays. You can't get anything going. So your guys are getting tired. Not to mention you got some guys banged up. You do have some guys banged up on the defense. You got Elijah Morris, who's banged up. You got Tegan Wilk, who missed the second half of the game at App State. Sounds like he may miss some time, a couple weeks. My guess would be he doesn't play this weekend, and I would be surprised if he played next weekend. But yeah, the offense, you've got to have sustained drives, and ECU doesn't have that. Whether it's because the offensive line sucks, whether it's because the quarterback play sucks, or whether it's because the wide receivers can't catch a damn ball, you got to figure it out.
Well, I mean, Jared, it's a combination of 4 things. It's the O-line not playing up to their potential. It's the receivers not catching wide open passes when they should and making plays. It is the quarterback play, which has just been anemic, and it's the offensive play calling. You have all 4 of those things that are just lacking, and which is leading to you only having 3 scored touchdowns offensively in 3 games. That's what it is. And to be honest with you, heading into this matchup with Gardner Webb, like probably not even gonna be a runaway in that game, right? So we'll see.
Sorry. Was I muted?
You were gone, brother. You was gone for a solid 2 minutes, dog. You was talking passionately, and me and Josh was hitting you on the side and couldn't hear nothing.
What the hell?
Couldn't hear nothing.
This computer is getting way too old. I don't think I was muted, but maybe I was. I don't know.
You didn't look like you were muted, but we couldn't hear you.
I don't know. Anyways, what I was gonna say was let's just get it all. What I said was let's get it all out in the open. All right, let's talk about this tweet. People blew it way out of proportion. I tweeted what I saw. Okay, I tweeted what I saw, and what that was, what was an athletic director having a fairly one-sided conversation with a head coach, and that's really all it was.
Yeah.
Look, the one thing that I'll say is we knew that it was about lack of offense. Steve and Igo confirmed that. It was about lack of offense, right? We all heard that. Everybody in that room heard that. So if there's people denying that was said, we all heard it, and it's been confirmed elsewhere. I also maybe shouldn't have said that I heard the word change. I was 90% sure that I heard the word change, and I even said that in the tweet. With that, I mean, I also said that I didn't know exactly what the context was, right? And is it a context of we need to change offensive coordinator, or was it in context of good job on changing quarterbacks because we needed that? I don't know. And I said that. It could be either. It could be something else. But I'm 90% sure I heard the word change. I was just letting you know what I heard, what I saw. I was standing about 30 feet away from them. Look, I saw people calling for us to lose our credentials. We didn't do anything wrong. People said we were unprofessional. Like, we didn't do anything wrong. We just tweeted about a conversation. We just tweeted about a conversation that I saw. And if you're upset about it, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, the Boneyard Podcast is going nowhere. We're staying right here. I mean, talk what you want. Look, obviously it struck a nerve with a bunch of people because a lot of people were wanting it to be some kind of change. And we all know that there needs to be some kind of change.
Lose our credentials for what, though? We didn't confirm anything. We didn't promise that this was said. We didn't say, oh, we guarantee this happened. It was what you thought that you overheard, which is probably what you overheard after the game. Like, it was a conversation. It was a conversation that needed to happen, by the way. Let's go ahead and just address that. Like, it was a conversation that absolutely needed to happen. I think a lot of people are coming out here trying to defend that the conversation shouldn't even been happening in the first place. No, this conversation needs to be happening. We're 0-3. The offense is struggling terribly. The play calling is struggling terribly. This is a conversation. You're the athletic director. You get paid a lot of money to make sure that these things are not happening terribly. This conversation needed to happen, and it needed to happen right after that game. So you probably heard exactly what you heard, and you did not confirm or I promise that this happened. You said this is what I believe that I overheard happening between these two gentlemen after this game, right? We here to do journalism, man. Like, we're not here to kiss ass and be everybody's friend and do this, that. We are here because we're loyal to East Carolina University, not any one person, not any one player, not any one coach, not any one athletic director, not any one media member. We're loyal to East Carolina University, period. And we're loyal to this podcast and putting out good content. So,
look,
and true content.
What I'll say is, and I say this in every email to any guest we're having on, I say this to anybody when I'm talking about our podcast. We're fans first. We want change. We want ECU to be good. We want ECU to be back on top, in our opinion, right? We want that. We want that just as much as every other donor, every other Pirate Club member, everybody else. There's some people in the media that they don't care. They get paid to cover the team. We don't get paid. Look, anything that we've made has gone either right back into the podcast, or I've taken it and I've donated it right back to the Pirate Club. Okay? We don't make money. We don't make money off this podcast. And so, yeah, I mean, we tweeted something. I don't know. I really don't care. I really don't care at this point. maybe already this is the start of our villain arc in the media.
Maybe.
I don't know. I saw a lot of people.
Look, I already thought Boneyard Podcast was on the dark side. Maybe this makes it official.
I know I saw a lot of people from other media outlets
lose our credentials.
Try to talk shit. No, get out of here with that. All right, Artie, let's move on since I wasted a minute and a half on mute. Still a lot of drop passes. Cy Hatfield dropped a wide open pass. Then that next play led to a big turnover. The quarterback is. We're staring down receivers. Like I could call out when an interception is going to happen. I feel like every play when I see it, I can almost tell you when an interception's coming, just because I think everybody else in the stadium could probably call that out.
Yeah. So
telegraphing passes, and then while the defense still looks good, it's maybe time to admit that the secondary isn't performing. Teams are throwing all over us. We got to figure something out. Yeah, that's really it. Artie, anything else for the bad?
Yeah, nothing else on the bad. Like the only thing I'll add is that the defense. Yeah, they've looked good in spurts. They've looked great at times, but we've also given up over 100 points in 3 games too. Like we've literally given up over 100 points in 3 games. So as well as they've played at times, overall,
Artie, if I told you at the beginning of the season that through our first 3 games, the team that we gave up the least amount of points to was Michigan. What?
In the Big House, that's the team that has scored the least amount of points on us. Michigan in the Big House.
Oh,
that's absurd.
All right, and then the ugly. Got to figure it out in the second half. ECU led 21-16 at halftime. They were held to 42 yards on 25 plays in the second half. Negative half of a yard rushing in the second half. Overall, this year, Artie, opponents have outscored ECU 55-13 in the second half and 28-3 in the fourth quarter. Like they shouldn't even play no quarter. Like we can't play no quarter if that's how we're looking.
I really have nothing to add. You said it perfectly. It's a crapshoot right now. And honestly, the other teams should be playing no quarter on our behalf because they're the ones that are actually living up to the no quarter insignia. So it's not good.
And lastly, the ugly, Artie, before we preview Gardner Webb, penalties. ECU is 129th out of 130 FBS teams in penalties this year, just ahead of Boston College.
Which is not saying much because if you saw the Boston College game last weekend, like I did, I watched some of that Boston College game. They truthfully probably should have beat Florida State, but they had like 18 to 20 penalties. Like they literally, I think it was 18 penalties that they had in that game for like 175 some yards. It was something absurd. And if they have half of those, they probably beat Florida State at home. So, outside of Boston College just shooting themselves in the face, we would be the worst team in the country with penalties.
For sure. That's the good, bad, and ugly from ECU versus App State. Okay. We're 0-3. This is a new week. Gardner Webb comes into Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. Gardner Webb last year was 7-6, 5-0 in the Big South. Finished first in the Big South last year. Before losing to William and Mary in the second round of the FCS playoffs. We're going to bring on Phil Constantino to the podcast. Phil, how are we doing, my friend? Welcome to the Boneyard Podcast.
I was listening to you guys the last few minutes, and I felt like I was back home in New York listening to WFAN after a Yankees game. Jeez. I get you're 0-3, but
man, the sky is falling here. We're not in Greenville. We both live in Winston-Salem, but the sky is falling. It feels like around East Carolina.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting to at least be 1-2 going into week 4. I mean, had you told me 1 and 2, I would have felt okay, knowing that we had to play Marshall, Michigan, and App State. Went in a weird order there, but knowing that we had to play those 3 teams, 3 really good FBS teams that are vying to win their conference, and yeah, it kind of it stings right now. Does not feel good, but talk to us about Gardner Webb, man.
I tell you what, the Gardner Webb Runnin Bulldogs didn't expect to be 1 and 2, so yeah.
I mean, it's tough times here, but Gardner Webb coming into Dowdy. Y'all came in, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
That would have been 2019. That would have been the year before I got to Gardner Webb.
Really? Wow.
It was not pretty. Well, I mean, you guys were probably happy after that one, but
I mean, that was, trying to think, 2019, 4-8 season, 4-8 season. So I mean, hey, it wasn't a 3-9 season. That's off the top of my head. Josh on the 1s and 2s can probably fact check that to make sure. But I mean, look, that was a win, but look, we haven't won many in the last decade or so. So, yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's a very different Gardner Webb program since then. Obviously, new staff, but a very different program since then.
So, outside of the coaching staff, I mean, what would you say is the one thing that's changed? I mean, maybe it's culture-wise, maybe it's, recruiting-wise. So,
yeah. Well, I'll be completely honest when I say this. In Gardner Webb's history in Division I had kind of been an afterthought in the area. It was the small little thing, a little outside of Charlotte, off to the west. Not a lot of people knew a whole lot about, and really overwhelmingly wasn't that successful, and wasn't that successful in football. Last year, that was the first time in almost a decade that they went over 500 in football. That just didn't happen. Now, granted, usually in Gardner Webb's case, you're playing 2 to 3 FBS games a year. That's part of being a small school. Budgets are what they are, and playing in the FCS. So it's hard to get over 500, a lot harder than it would be in East Carolina's case. But it's a program that was not successful since 2002 when it transitioned up to Division I. It did win early on in the transition after coming off of those Division II years where they were really good at the end. Early on in the transition, they won a couple of games early, but it didn't qualify them for the postseason. They won Big South Championship early, didn't qualify them for the postseason. It was a 4-team league at the time. And last year was the first Big South Championship in 19 years. And really, I would venture to say the first truly championship successful year of Division I, and the first time the program ever went to the FCS playoffs. So how'd they get there? They brought in a new coach in December of 2019, Trey Lamb. Obviously, pandemic hits. Fall of 2020 is jacked up. He coaches a 4-game season in the spring of 2021. So he tells you this is really year 3, not year number 4, because it started in the fall of 2021 when they really were able to start building. But also, I would even say before bringing in Coach Lamb, there wasn't necessarily an investment from the top at the school in making athletics great after the transition to Division I. And I do have to give a lot of credit to the president of the school, William Downs, because he's a big school guy. I think he spent some time in East Carolina. He grew up an NC State fan and went to school there and was involved in NC State. His family's been involved there for a long time. And he wanted Gardner Webb athletics to be good, and just simply put the money and the resources that have been put into it. Right before, as he was announced, before he officially took office as president, is when the basketball team went to the NCAA tournament in 2019. And that was kind of the spark. That was the first big one. And then they all started falling in line. And last year as a whole, the athletic department won 3 championships, their most ever, winning the football championship. 21-0 season in women's basketball was the best season in the history of the Big South Conference, men's or women's ever in basketball. And the men's tennis team also won a championship. So if I'm going really big picture, back to the last time you would have seen this athletic department, the last time you would have seen this football team. It starts with the investment from the president. That's Dr. Downs, and I believe if my timeline adds up right, the last time you would have seen Gardner Webb at Dowdy-Ficklin would have been his first season, or first year, I should say, at Gardner Webb. So before his impact was really felt.
For sure. Artie?
Yeah, Phil, I just want to ask you this. What were the expectations for Gardner Webb, coming into this season after all the success last year, coming into this season, and then after 3 games, you have the 1-2 start, which I know is disappointing. What are the expectations now after these first 3 games?
Championship. I mean, FCS playoffs. They return. This doesn't happen in college football nowadays, right? Especially at the FCS level, because when you have good players, they go up. They returned 17 starters from a championship team last year. They return, and that's 17 positions, because on the defense alone, they have 17 guys going into this year who have regular starting experience, albeit a half a season, whatever. So 17 out of 22 positions, they return starters. You do that in college football nowadays, you're going to be pretty good. You're going to expect to be pretty good. Now, they did have to replace the quarterback. Bailey Fisher graduated, reigning Big South Offensive Player of the Year. He was a 2-year starter at Gardner Webb. He was with Trey Lamb previously when Trey was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee Tech, where Bailey was an all-conference player in the Ohio Valley. There was a chemistry there, and he had an ability, although he may have been undersized, he had the ability to play really well at the FCS level, and was really a dual-threat quarterback. So they had to replace him. Otherwise, it's a roster that's intact. I mean, even the kicker and the punter are the same guy from last year. The all-conference long snapper is the same guy from last year. So if you were to tell me 3 weeks in, 1-2, or you were to tell me back at the preseason that 3 weeks in, they'd be 1-2, I would tell you that Gardner Webb fans would be disappointed. And I think that they're all disappointed in Boiling Springs, just a little bit. Obviously, they're aware that everything's still right in front of them. But if you listen to Trey Lamb's video press conference this week, you got the point. So,
yeah, for sure. And that kind of sounds like, ECU coming off 2 decent seasons, not championship level seasons, but 2 decent seasons. That I guess it feels like we're kind of in the same spot. Yes, y'all are 1-2. You lost a game to App State. So, hey, y'all look more competitive against App State than we did.
It feels like, from what I've gathered, and I think this is, I got to say, you guys have some fan base, by the way, because this is the 4th interview I've done this week. Podcasts, local radio, everything. So give credit to ECU fans. You guys have some fan base. But the sense that I've gotten from listening to you guys and from doing some of the interviews and talking to some of the folks out in the eastern part of the state is that the sky is falling, that the hot seat is on Coach Houston. That it's not that at Gardner Webb. It's a sense of disappointment, because I think that they really thought they had a chance to beat Appalachian State. Mm-hmm. And they were up on Appalachian State with 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. And then just a couple of bad mistakes, a shanked punt, flips field. And next thing you know, it's, 3 straight scores unanswered. They lose the game by 21. But in Gardner Webb's position, you're going into that game. Previously under Trey Lamb, they've played 5 FBS games. They were in 4 of them, probably could have, maybe should have won 3 of them. Had the ball down by less than a touchdown, driving in on the final drive, and either didn't convert on 4th down or threw a pick. So they've had chances in these FBS games. They have been close. They've been blown in 6 FBS games now. They've been blown out in 1 in 3 years under Trey Lamb. So they really thought they had a chance to win that game. And that was an incredibly disappointed locker room, which I don't know that you would usually see when you hang in it for 3 quarters, FCS team versus FBS team. Then they turn around, they beat Elon. It was a little bit ugly in the end. Elon's a perennial power in this area. They finished 17th in the country in the FCS last year. They were a playoff team a season ago. They could be a playoff team this year. They beat Elon at home by a touchdown, but they were up 2 touchdowns with 6 minutes left. Costly fumble. Next thing you know, it's a tie game, and it requires a minute-long drive to go win it with 14 seconds left. So it was kind of an ugly win, but it was a win, and it might be the most signature FCS non-conference win of Trey Lamb's tenure. And then last week, that was just, that was just, for lack of a better way to say it, and I don't think anyone in the program would disagree, that was just a clunker against Tennessee State. They made every mistake possible and still only lost the game by 2. They play an average game, and they're probably 2 touchdowns better than Eddie George's Tennessee State team. So I still think that it's not this sky is falling. It's disappointment. They feel like they should be 2-1. They feel like, some people feel like they could be, maybe should be 3-0. It's a championship program that still thinks if they go run the table in conference play, we'll have a shot to win the new Big South OVC Association. They're a team that, even if they don't win the association, if they take care of business at the FCS level, maybe they pull off an upset this week, well, they're probably going to get an at-large bid to the FCS playoffs if they do that. And they're still, even at 1-2, a lot of folks expect them to be back in the rankings soon. So it's not a sky is falling mentality. It is definitely a level of disappointment, because this program has gone from being not a great program to a championship level program. But it's there's a little disappointment there. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you.
And Phil, I do want to ask you this, because you're absolutely right. We are acting like the sky's falling in Greenville, and deservedly so, because we're starting 0-3. We weren't really expecting to start 0-3. But I mean, Gardner Webb, they're coming into to Dowdy, and they're not playing a juggernaut, right? I mean, they're playing a team that is reeling, struggling, still trying to figure things out in their own right. How does Gardner Webb feel coming into this game? I mean, this could be a huge upset victory on the road for them, and they should feel good about that coming in. How do they feel from your perspective?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I think the sense that I've gathered from the East Carolina fan base is that there actually is a level of fear in playing Gardner Webb. Not that you guys are 0-3, but also in the fact that the record of close games versus the FBS that I just mentioned. I mean, quite frankly, they should have beaten Coastal Carolina and Liberty last year. And those are not slouches of FBS teams. Those are a pretty good group of 5 teams. So I think they can win. They're a little banged up, a couple of injuries, a couple of positions. Guys didn't play a ton of snaps last game. I bet the coaching staff, if you could get them off the record, would probably tell you, and I haven't talked to them about this, but they would probably tell you we were limiting some guys because we thought we could take care of Tennessee State. I think they hope to have some of those guys a little healthier this week and have them back. And I also think that, if anything, it was 3 games in, but they weren't playing great football. And I wonder if, in a way, 1-2 was better than 2-1 right now, because it does refocus them. Because again, 3 weeks in, even if the 50-yard field goal with a few seconds left from Tennessee State, even if that misses, and for a while it looked like it was going wide to the left, even if that misses, you win by 1. You feel great about it at 2-1. I don't know. It wasn't a great performance by any means. So to an extent, they might be refocused. And I do ultimately believe that good will come of this. And I do ultimately believe they're still a championship team with a up and coming, damn good young coach and talent all over the field. So.
For sure. Now, I mean, let's talk a little bit about this offense. Matthew Caldwell, I mean, first-year starter after the quarterback graduates. Talk to us a little bit about him. Talk to us a little bit about this offense. What can we expect to see?
Well, I don't know what role the rain potentially could play in this. I know we've got storms coming up the coast here, and everyone's been monitoring the weather. But in a normal, dry day, you're going to see an offense that if 10 seconds run off the play clock, they snapped it too slow. They like to move. Minimum 90 snaps a game if they can. Out-hustle you, outrun you, line up and snap the football before you can get set up. Don't sub so that you can't sub, and just keep it moving. The goal is always 90 to 95 snaps. I actually asked this. I asked Trey Lamb this a couple weeks ago in his office before the Elon game. Elon's traditionally a bigger FCS team, kind of built like an FBS team. They like to ground and pound the football. And he kind of had this little smile. He says to me, yeah, we're going to run on them. So I asked him what's the most snaps he's ever snapped in a game as a play caller. The answer was 108. It's mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling. Now, the new clock rules you would think would take a few off of that, right? Except for the fact that week against Elon, they snapped the football 91 times. So they're going to move. That's not going to change. Matthew Caldwell as a quarterback, he's 6'4", built like the prototype. Big arm. Jacksonville State transfer. It's his second year in the program. He transferred out of Jacksonville State when Rich Rod and staff came in. They've always liked him, and he showed some flashes last year. Bailey Fisher missed one start injured, and Matthew Caldwell played pretty well. They've always thought he was talented. It was a four-way quarterback battle in the offseason, even though he always had the edge, I think. Geno English was a transfer that came in from Florida State that pushed him all the way to the end. And he won the quarterback job. There was concern going into game one about some accuracy, I believe. And then he came out against Appalachian State and in front of 36,000 fans, and his first time in his career as a true starter going into the season. Trey Lamb thought he was one of the bright spots throughout the course of the game. And he told his team that in the locker room after the game. And he said, if we're good at that position, which was a concern going into the year, we can really take off. I think sometimes as fans and in the media, we overhype the importance of quarterbacks. Coaches will tell you it's a complete effort, but it's hard to win with a bad one. And they have one that they think is pretty good. Last game was not his best, but I also counted 6 drop passes during the game. He was also pressured by what I think is an underrated Tennessee State team that Eddie George has turned in a corner, and a defense that didn't let a receiver get open all day, and a defensive line that didn't give him a second to breathe all day. So he's a pretty good player. He's not necessarily a runner. He can run. Trey has actually told me he's more straight line speed, faster than Bailey Fisher, their previous quarterback, but he's a little taller and lankier, so he doesn't have the shiftiness to him that you would expect from a read option quarterback, to stick the ball in the gut of the running back, pull it, and then take off and get you a bunch of yardage. He can run. He's a little hesitant of a runner, and he does look to throw when probably he should run. That said, he's got a big arm. He is becoming more and more comfortable challenging down the field each game. Out of the field, typical RPO, spread option. Let's stretch the field. Quick hitters to the wide receivers. There's been a lot of that through 3 games with a slow progression of let's let Matthew Caldwell air it out and try a couple of chances deep. So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a young guru of an offensive guy. We do a coach's clicker segment every week, and I'm blown away by how intelligent Trey Lamb is as a play caller, and how intelligent he is about reading defenses and the game of football. But he kind of fits the mold of these young spread option, hurry up head coaches, and that's what you're going to see.
Now, on the flip side of that, defensively, who are some guys defensively that can cause ECU's offense some headaches, some nightmares, some troubles heading into this game?
I'll start with one player, Ty French, multiple-time All-American, number 47. You're going to notice him right away.
Okay.
He's a defensive end who they sometimes will stand up and play as a linebacker that roams around. I noticed this last game. So first play of the game against Tennessee State, comes off the edge, sacks the quarterback. I think he forced a fumble that Tennessee State recovered. Second play of the game, tackle for loss, stuffs and run. Third play of the game, offensive linemen are pointing out 47, 47. Now, usually that happens with a Mike linebacker, not with a defensive end, right? 47, 47. And he stands there and waves back at them. Here I am. So he's that kind of player. He is. I've had coaches tell me this before, that we have to keep an eye on 47 and we have to know where he is. And this is prior to this year too. We have to know where he is at all times. He was a little bit undersized, and because of the extra year back during the pandemic, his freshman year was Trey Lamb's first year. He's one of Trey Lamb's first big recruits. And I think if you get Trey on the record, he'll probably tell you that if not for the pandemic and rosters being crowded, Ty French doesn't necessarily fall to us. But he was a little bit undersized, a little bit thin. He's 6'3", 230 now in his 4th year. And FBS schools want him, and he has stayed at Gardner Webb. And he'll finish out his degree and probably go on to the NFL next and have a real shot. There are scouts at practices all the time that are looking at him, and occasionally I'll roam the sidelines, talk to them, and every single time, the first guy that they say is going to have a shot at an NFL camp is Ty French. So that's the guy. There are all-conference players that return at every level of this defense. I told you before about the starters that return. Josh Reardon is in his 4th year as the defensive coordinator. He's been with Trey Lamb from the beginning. But he is the guy to keep an eye on, because 3 games in, and he has probably been the best player on the field in all 3 games, including against Appalachian State.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, those are the types of guys that win you ball games. I mean, we talk about offense being what you need to win a ball game. You got to score points, but when you have a guy like that on defense that can kind of play DN, but also play this kind of hybrid linebacker role, I mean, it's honestly, I mean, it's impressive. So excited to see him this Saturday.
I'll tell you what, he is the most intimidating dude in the world on the football field. The most.
So he's the first one off the bus.
You don't want to walk past him. He gets the nasal strips going. He's got this growl. Off the field, I have never met a more fun-loving, outgoing, just great kid. Great kid. He's a father. He really is just he's that guy's going places. I can't say enough positive words about him. And but on the football field, I can stay away from him.
I'm looking at this picture of him, and yeah, like I want no part of him.
I'll tell you a little story. So we were actually. I was with them driving to Media Day back in the summer. It was him and Nari Gaither, an All-American running back. And I'm in the car with him and a couple of other administrators, and we're driving out to Nashville for Media Day. And when I tell you the entire time, he's just laughing up a storm. The entire time. I've never had a kid like that. 6 hours in the car, laughing up a storm. Awesome. He's just a good kid.
That's awesome.
I mean, just looking at him, that he looks the part. It looks like he's taking eye black. Like in this picture, it's literally called Ty French eyes. And like this picture, it just looks like he's taking the eye black, and it's just like all over his face. I don't know. Just staring down a quarterback. Yeah. Good luck, Alex Flynn.
I think he's a 3-time All-American at this point, too.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Lists. Gardner Webb's lucky to have him, and lucky that he stayed around. And I think that kind of tells you the kind of kid that he is, too. So,
love that. Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. I mean, I think this week is a game that ECU fans are worried about after the 0-3 start.
Definitely nervous, yeah.
And I think rightfully so. We know that Gardner Webb is a formidable opponent coming into Dowdy, and with how our offense has struggled at times, and how this team has struggled to kind of get going at times, it is a worry. Seeing the Runnin Bulldogs run down 264 to Greenville. I mean, all in all, what happens? I mean, do you think Gardner Webb wins this weekend?
I can't say here that they're going to win. I mean, you know how the odds are stacked against you as an FCS opponent. And I was with Trey Lamb right after the game at Appalachian State. He was talking to the media, and he said, these things kind of go according to a script. And the script is one of two ways. You either come out and you're just overmatched, you get blown out right off the bus. And you've seen that happen a lot in these FCS games. I mean, he was an FCS player at Tennessee Tech. He's played in them. He's coached in them. His career as a player, assistant coach and head coach, has been in the FCS. So he's had a lot of these. Or you're in it because you have enough talent at the top end. You have guys like Ty French. But ultimately, over the course of 4 quarters, those 20 extra scholarships that divide FBS from FCS make a big difference. And there's just more talent down the depth chart as guys get worn out throughout the game, as you start rolling through defensive linemen, et cetera. Offensive line just starts beating up on them. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Gardner Webb will win. But I think they have a shot. I certainly do. And I think a lot of people in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, think that they have a shot. And I would say that looking back at last week, it hurts. From our perspective, we're looking at how does Gardner Webb get to the FCS playoffs, and it's easiest to get that at-large bid and get in like they did last year. That's more complicated in what is now a 10-team league, where they're not even going to play the other favorite in the league, Southeast Missouri State, this year. So from that perspective, last week's loss to Tennessee State really hurts. But from another perspective, you go beat East Carolina this week, you're right back in business, and you're really open for an at-large selection. Right. And maybe last week's loss is a good thing because it was needed, because they just were not playing disciplined football. And so I don't think that they're going to I don't think that they're going to I can't say that they're going to win. I think they could. I definitely think they have a shot. And I know this, that East Carolina fans and that East Carolina team, unlike many other teams that maybe they snuck up on, they're not going to sneak up on them, because the track record now of Gardner Webb is, okay, these guys are good. They know what they're doing. They're going to give us a good shot. So I expect it to be a close game, but you never know what's going to happen in the end.
For sure. Well, Phil, we appreciate you coming on. Sorry we made you wait a little bit. We got started a little bit late tonight, but
your mic was muted.
Yeah, and then I was muted and then nobody told me. I wasn't.
No, we told you. You just weren't paying attention, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I was reading off the notes. I was looking at our show notes. That was a rookie mistake. Hey, I'll walk the plank on that one. That's on me. That's 2 weeks in a row I've gone muted. Look, I've been sick for the better half of a week and a half, and I get in these little coughing spurts. I go muted, try to be professional with it, and then I forget to unmute. Then hey, that's on me. I take full responsibility.
Yeah, a cough button, just one button.
Yeah, hey, we've got a new producer on the show. This is actually his first show with us. Shout out Josh on the ones and twos. But yeah, Josh, figure that out. I don't understand it. I don't know it. I need one of those buttons like you guys have up in the booth where I'm not. You can't hear my mic. So. Thanks again for joining us, and safe travels down to Greenville this weekend. Yep. And wish you the best of luck after Saturday. How's that?
I appreciate it. Good talking with you guys. Thank you. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Absolutely, Phil. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Phil. So, once again, Phil Constantino, play-by-play voice, one of the play-by-play voice and director of broadcasting for the Gardner Webb Runnin Bulldogs. I don't think I even did an intro for him, but yeah, great insight, and it made me even more nervous for this game. Artie, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think? What happens if East Carolina loses to Gardner Webb this weekend?
And the thing is, this was always kind of going to be a trap game for East Carolina anyway, because we always, we always have an FCS opponent that we play close every. It feels like every other year we're going to play some FCS opponent in Dowdy close. We end up winning, but it's a lot closer than what it probably feels like it should be. But this doesn't even feel like a trap game, though. This is like, we're 0-3. We're really struggling. We don't really have everything figured out offensively or defensively. And Gardner Webb, they really should have the confidence of coming in. They played out close. They, like Phil was saying, they absolutely could have beat, Tennessee State last week in a game where they did not play well at all. They absolutely could be 2-1 or 3-0 with a win over App. So Gardner Webb should come in with an extreme amount of confidence, knowing what they can do in their ability. ECU starts 0-4. man, and I think I would feel bad for the coaches and players because it's going to be it's going to be a shitstorm like they've never seen. If ECU loses at home to Gardner Webb and starts 0-4, I mean, yeah, I don't. I don't. That is worst case scenario. It could happen, but I think I honestly would feel bad for the coaches and players because it is going to be a bad day to be a football player or a football coach in Greenville, North Carolina. We're sitting at 0-4. So
yeah, I mean, I think if you're sitting at 0-4, there's got to be some kind of change. There has to be some kind of change. I don't know what it is, but if you're 0-4, something has to change.
I do not believe we start 0-4. We're going to win this weekend. I truly believe we're going to win this weekend. I believe we're going to figure some things out. We're going to put some things together. We're going to get into that a little later with our score predictions and all that. But I do not believe we're going to start 0-4. I do believe we win this weekend.
I don't know.
Do I feel confident about that? Like I would, if we were at least 1-2 with a win over a Marshall or an App? No, but I don't believe we start 0-4. I just don't think it's that bad in our program. And that's no shot at Gardner Webb either, because they're definitely a legitimate, good program. But like Phil was saying, we've got 20 extra scholarships. We got more depth. We have a little bit more oomph, and I don't think our program is down that bad to lose at home to Gardner Webb.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Maybe. I hope you're not wrong. I really do hope ECU gets the dub this week. I don't know. I don't know. This reminds me of how I felt at times during the Scotty Moe years. And do I believe more? Do I believe more in Mike Houston than I did at any point of the Scotty Montgomery era? Yes. Do I believe in? And look, guys, we just signed Mike Houston to a 5-year extension. He's not going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. We cannot afford to get rid of Mike Houston, and I don't think we should. But it may come down to it. It may come down to it where we got to make a change somewhere else on this staff, and who knows? We'll cross that bridge when it comes. But if we start 0-4, I got to think somebody's head's going to roll. I believe somebody's head's going to roll at some point.
I mean, because you start 0-4, and then a loss to Gardner Webb. Where do you find the wins? If you look at the rest of the schedule, where are your wins?
Rice looks good.
Rice beat Houston a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, now we don't know what Houston is, but still, Rice looks a lot better than what we thought they were going to look. Right?
SMU looks like they're the real deal.
San Antonio's kind of falling off. They don't look as good.
Yeah, UTSA is kind of been surprising. Yeah. Granted, they haven't had the easiest schedule to start the year, but we were thinking of them being a 10-2, 9-3 football team, and they've got 2 losses already.
Yeah, 2, I believe.
So we're entering that territory. I mean, Navy is Navy, but then again, we can't beat Navy anyways.
Even with a good ECU team, we struggle against Navy. So
Charlotte is Charlotte. I don't know. It really sucks. It really sucks to be in the position that we're in, but hopefully we can figure it out.
Look, all hope is not lost. Though, all right, I do have some optimism about this team. All hope is not lost.
Look, all we need, Artie, and I'll say this. I will say this, that good times will come back to East Carolina University. Whether it's this year or whether we have to ride out one bad year, something good is going to happen to East Carolina University. It just is going to happen. And I tweeted this yesterday. I look at this picture above my desk every single day. And it's the day, yesterday was the 9-year anniversary of ECU dropping 70 on Carolina.
We were in the building, baby.
And I look at this picture. I tweeted about it yesterday, and anytime I have a bad day, anytime I'm feeling down, I look at this picture and I look in the Boneyard. If you're looking at the Boneyard, just left of the left upright, probably about halfway up, that's where I was sitting. And I'll never forget that day. I will never forget that day. Had a blast. My whole family was there. And I think back to that day, and I think that time's going to come back again.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out. But what we need, Pirate Nation, is we need you to donate. Donate to the Pirate Club. Donate to Team Boneyard. This is, it's a money game now. It really is. It's a money game now. So we need to keep supporting this team. Did I say yes, it's hard to cover this team at times? Yes, it is. It's really hard to cover it when you have to drive 3.5 hours to cover the team 6 weeks out of the season. It's really hard to do that when you have to drive an hour and a half to cover them on the road. It's really hard to do that. Artie drove 15 hours. Was that right? 9 hours, 10 hours? I don't know.
What's that? We're talking about?
To Ann Arbor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was 9 hours up there, 9 hours back. So,
I mean, it's really hard to do that at times. But don't lose faith. Because, and I sign every email that we send from the Boneyard Podcast with this, Artie. And this all goes back to the tweet. Loyal and bold. Be loyal to this team. Be loyal to this program. If you're not going to be loyal to them, don't sing the fight song when they score. If you're not loyal, don't sing it. Okay? If you're not going to be bold in your love for East Carolina University, then you're not a Pirate. And sometimes it takes you being loyal and bold to be a true Pirate. And if our fan base isn't going to be either of those things, then we don't have a fan base. We always tout how strong our fan base is. If you're not going to be loyal to this team, even when it's hard, you got to be loyal. And we're going to be loyal. Look, we're going to be loyal. We're going to stand by this team. We're going to cover this team. We're going to love them. But I'm just ready to be back where we're excited every single Saturday, because every single Saturday we believe we can win. And the last 3 Saturdays hasn't felt. Now, going up to App State, I felt like we could win. I was jamming out. I was singing in the car. I was having a blast. And on the way home, not so much.
And I'll say this, though, too. As far as bad as we have played, we have been in these games with Marshall and App all the way up and leading into the fourth quarter. We have to finish games. That's really our biggest problem. Yeah, we have offensive woes. We have defensive things we have to figure out. But we've still been in these games. For as bad as we played, we've still been in these games, right? So it's finishing. It's figuring out what the hell is going wrong in the fourth quarter with us, because we had to figure that out immediately. But it's not like we've played poor from start to finish. We just look absolutely terrible as a football program. That's why I have optimism, because we could seriously and probably should be 2-1 with a pretty decent looking loss to Michigan in the Big House, right? So a lot of things that can still be worked on. Yes, it looks bad because 0-3 is awful, but there is some optimism. I will ask people to really look at it and say, okay, yeah, there is still some optimism and some hope here with this team.
Let's say this, Artie. This team, for everything that sucks about it right now, this week it's a new week. ECU could look. Am I drinking the Kool-Aid if I believe this? Maybe. Give me some purple grape Kool-Aid. If ECU could still go 9-3, do I believe it's going to happen? No, but they could still go 9-3. This is
Jared,
a new week.
Jared, shut up. Jared, shut up. Do not start talking that 9-3 crap.
No, I'm Artie.
Right now.
Would you let me finish, Artemis? Artie. What I'm saying is there's still the season's not lost off of these 3 losses. And while it seems like the sky is falling, and I'm contradicting myself from what I was saying earlier, I mean, ECU can still win the conference. You haven't played a conference game. No, Artie, I'm not saying that they're going to, but you've got the whole season ahead of you. Why not?
Jared, whatever Kool-Aid you drinking, please pass that through the screen. I need that. I need that Kool-Aid ASAP. Pass
Artie,
that.
Like I said, do I believe it's going to happen? No. But that's how, as Pirates, that's how you got to look at it. You got to go 1-0 every single week. That is how you go in.
Said that in this presser this past week. It's about going 1-0 every week. So
you got to win the day. Win the day. Win the Tuesday. Win the Wednesday. Like Coach Houston said that we had the best Tuesday, Wednesday practice of the season so far. Hopefully we can have the best Saturday we've had of the season and build on that. Build on that. There's time. There's time to figure something out. And by God, I hope they figure it out because I can't deal with another 3-9 season. Or at this point, what may look like a 1-11 season, if not 0-12. Artie, do you have a walk the plank?
I actually do not. I don't have a walk the plank this weekend. There wasn't enough to happen this past weekend for me to be upset about anything. So no.
The only thing I'll say is, look, I don't know the guy's name. The guy that made that hit on Hunter.
Travis Hunter. Yeah.
Travis Hunter. I don't know why I want to say Tony Hunter.
That was dirty as hell, man. The ball was on the ground.
Was it a dirty hit? Yes. It was a dirty hit. But this guy and his mother should not be receiving death threats.
Oh, I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah. He received death threats.
No, as a kid, man. I mean, like he made a boneheaded dumb mistake. And he should have been suspended too. It should have been suspended for that.
At the same time, Artie, I want to have a quick conversation because as much as cool as Deion Sanders is, and as cool as everything else that's going on with him is it bad if I say that I'm kind of getting tired of the constant media attention?
I mean, it's not bad. Did you say that? I mean, you're not a fan of it, and that's fine. But you also can't deny the impact that he's having.
Oh no, I think he's having a tremendous impact.
What I agree that it's a bit of a circus. It's a bit of a circus. Yes, it's a little much, but that's just kind of what Deion brings. And to be honest with you, if you're really looking at these TV numbers, people are really feeding into this. Like Jared, 10 million people watched Colorado State versus Colorado last weekend.
I know.
10 million people at 2:00 in the morning Eastern Standard Time were up watching this game. I mean, even if you're tired of it, you can't really knock the man.
Here's what I'll say. I'm not tired of him. I'm tired of some of his athletes. Like the fight with Travis Hunter, watching before the game, like him talking shit. Talk your shit.
Jared, that happens everywhere in college.
Yeah, but
it happens everywhere.
I don't know. Something rubs me the wrong way about that guy.
You're gonna see that at Michigan, Ohio State with dudes running up against each other before the game.
Yeah, but like
shit, getting into fights,
flashing your Rolex and talking about your Rolls Royce. Yeah, get the hell out of here.
NIL, that's a thing now. Like Shedeur Sanders is gonna pull up to the game in a Maybach. Like that's
fine.
What it is.
But that's daddy's money.
That's just what it is.
all I'm saying, Artie, all I'm saying is all week there's talk about, we're going to punch you in the mouth. and we're going to blow you out. You don't belong in this field with us. All week that was coming out of some of their players' mouths. And then they damn near lost it. It took them 2 overtimes to beat Colorado State.
But what's their record?
3-0.
What was their record last year?
1-11.
I mean,
Artie, hear me out. ECU goes 1-11 this year, wins the national championship next year.
if Dion is walking through that door, then maybe. So
all right. That's my walk the plank. I mean, it's not real. Like, I don't know. I'm just tired of the constant.
Now, look. Granted, they got to go to Eugene this weekend, and I think they lose to Oregon.
They're 21-point dogs at Oregon.
I think they lose to Utah. All those good teams they got coming up, they're not there yet. So they're going to lose those games, and that luster is going to fall off a little bit. But I mean, what Dion is doing in Colorado, it's legit.
It's amazing. I saw that they sold out all of they're sold out for all their home games all year. That's great. All I'm saying, I don't mind I love what Dion's doing. I wish he was doing it at East Carolina, not Colorado. But what I'll say, Artie, is I'm just like, there was a tweet earlier today. It was like Colorado is playing Oregon's fight song and pumping in crowd noise to their practice. Every college football team in America does that.
Right. I was about to say everybody does that. They're just overhyping it because it's Dion in Colorado.
Yeah, like ECU does that for a big game. Right? Like that's nothing new. So why are we making it a big deal when Colorado does it?
Blame the media for that, though. Blame the media for that. Because they're the ones giving all this kind of limelight and attention to something that don't really deserve that much limelight and attention. Something like that.
Yeah. And then secondly, Artie. All right, I almost forgot about this. My other walk the plank. And this could be Colorado and Appalachian State. Why the hell are you rushing the field?
Yeah, it is getting a little too much.
Why the hell is Appalachian State rushing the field after beating an 0-3 East Carolina University? That's little brother syndrome.
I really think though it has become a thing where nationally, I think these kids just like doing it. They don't even care that it could be anybody. You could be
I just can't wait
at this point. They just want to rush the field.
I can't wait until I can't wait till a team loses, but they lose a close game and their fans still rush the field.
I don't know. It is definitely getting
this isn't old man yells at clouds. Like, I get it. Like, if you don't want them to rush the field, beat them. I get that. Like that's not what this conversation's about.
Right.
Rushing the field used to be something that was special. Right. We didn't rush the field when we dropped 70 on Carolina because we expected to beat them and beat them badly.
And they weren't a top 10 team at the time. They weren't.
Yeah.
You didn't beat the number 3 ranked UNC, Tar Heels. That's not
like that. That's all I'm saying is I think there's rules to rushing the field, and we probably need to put this on a graphic and post this. But it's got to be a top 25 team, and if you're a perennial top 25 team or a team that's in the top 25, you can't rush the field. Like, if you're in the top 25, you can't rush the field. Unless
unless it's like, now if it's Alabama LSU game of the century, 1 versus 2, you rush the field for that. Like that's a game you rush the field for. Like you see that once every 5 to 10 years. So you rush the field for that.
I also think there's teams, like there's schools that are immune to rushing the field ever. Like they should never rush the field. One of those is Alabama. Right? Like I don't think they should ever rush the field. Duke Michigan, basketball.
I don't ever remember Michigan ever rushing the field for Ohio State.
Duke basketball, Carolina basketball should never rush the court. That's just my opinion. If you're a blue blood,
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree that it should be at least a ranked opponent. You should beat a ranked opponent. To me, it should be a top 10 team. Forget top 25. I think it should be a top 10 team. that warrants you rushing the field because it should be a special moment. It shouldn't just be beating somebody. It should be a special moment because you beat a damn good football or basketball team.
Exactly. I don't think you rush the field for beating an 0-2, 0-3 team. You don't rush the field when you're a top 25 team for beating a group of 5 school that you were a 2 touchdown favorite over. Like, you don't do that. But
Colorado won 1-11 last year. They don't know how to act. Literally, their fans and students, they don't know. They're not used to this success. They suck. They're not used to this. So.
All right. What or Josh, what is this message here? Hunter Blackburn.
Was that the guy that hit Travis Hunter?
Oh, Hunter Blackburn. That's the guy that hit Travis Hunter. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Artie, let's get into gambling and then let's get the hell out of here. We've gone too long.
Yes.
Ole Miss, number 15, Ole Miss on the road to Tuscaloosa Bryant-Denny Stadium at Alabama.
Yeah.
Old man Saban. Crimson Tide, 6.5-point favorites. Over unders 55.5. Are we seeing the falling of an empire that is Alabama?
The empire is the Death Star is coming to the ground. It is falling out of the sky. I'm telling you that right now. Because honestly, this year in college football is probably the most parity we've seen in 15, 20 years. I mean, there's at least 10 teams that could compete for a national championship. 10. There's like 10 teams that can legitimately win a national championship. So,
I mean, after losing to Texas, they couldn't beat down on little old USF. They face Ole Miss this weekend, who's 3-0 with a win over Tulane. That's honestly probably the best. That's the second best win the SEC has this year so far. It is Ole Miss's win over Tulane. And that game turned into a blowout at the end. It got a little it was a lot closer than what the score shows.
I do want to mention real quick, though. I do need to apologize to South Florida. I thought they was going to lose by 50.
I did too.
They shocked the hell out of me. Good for them.
I did too.
They can beat it.
Did you see the video of Nick Saban standing on the water cooler and then one of the assistants having to hold the water cooler so he didn't fall off?
No, I did not see that.
Oh, that was funny. All right. Anyways, Ole Miss at Alabama. Bama's a 6.5-point favorite. Artie, your thoughts?
I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan. I really want him to go in here and win this game. I really want Ole Miss to go in here and win this game. I really, really do. Now, I can't say that around Ashley and her folks because my future father-in-law, he's a University of Alabama alumni, and he's having a heart attack right now. So I'm just going to have to be quiet when this game is on. But I am hoping Lane Kiffin goes in there and walks away with a win. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope Ole Miss wins. I'm tired of hearing about Alabama. I just find it hard for Alabama to lose 2 straight games at home to Texas and to Ole Miss. If that happens, I mean, could we see Alabama drop to like 17?
Oh, they're dropping low. Well, actually, when was the last time Alabama's been out of the top 25? I feel like it's before the Saban era. It's got to be before the Saban era. It's got to be like 2008. It's got to be before. The last time they were out of the top 25, it's got to be well over a decade. Well over a decade. And they have a legitimate chance of being outside of the top 25 this year.
2007, a streak of 248 appearances.
7. Jeez.
Jared,
we were 12 in 2007. 12.
Artie, trivia time. Who holds the record for longest streak of being ranked?
Oh God. Is it still an active streak?
No.
Oh, I mean, it's one of blue. It's an SC or Michigan or Oklahoma, one of those. I feel like it's like one of those 3.
It's actually not.
It's not one of those 3. I have no idea. I don't know.
How about Nebraska?
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
1981 to 2002.
For all the children out there that don't know,
348 straight appearances.
Nebraska was an absolute juggernaut in the 80s and 90s. They were modern day Alabama.
So we're both taking Ole Miss.
Yes.
Okay. Hotty toddy. All right. Artie, we just talked about this game a little bit. Colorado, number 19, on the road at Oregon. Colorado's going to be without Travis Hunter for the next 3 weeks. He's got a concussion. Oregon's a 21-point favorite over under 69. Can Dion and company, his crew, continue the rise to the tops of college football with this matchup against the top 10 team on the road? We talked about our thoughts on Dion. What are your thoughts on this game?
21 is a little high for me, even though, like, without Travis Hunter, that's a huge loss. With Travis Hunter, they might mess around and maybe possibly pull the upset. Without Travis Hunter, they're not going to win this game. I don't think they lose by 3 touchdowns. So I do think Dion is going to find something to make this game some sort of just a magical up and down, topsy-turvy kind of game. But Oregon's going to win.
Artie, would it surprise you if this ECU team in Colorado were on the same list of something, like a top 10 list or anything like that in the same season?
You said what?
So ECU and Colorado are both in the bottom 10 when it comes to yards per game on defense in the country. You got Bo Nix at Oregon.
Very good quarterback.
Yes, Shadur Sanders is a fantastic quarterback. You're without probably your top wide receiver. You're without one of your, best defensive players. What's he play? D end? And Travis Hunter. Look, I think the hype train is derailed this week. Oregon beats them and beats them soundly.
Yeah, I think Oregon wins by double digits. I just don't think it's 3 touchdowns.
I think it is. I do think it is. Like going to Autzen into Eugene.
And they're going to be fired up because they've heard all the chirping, all the noise.
They know what the moment's all about.
Oregon's like, hold up now, we are the class of this conference. We're Oregon. Like, what are you talking about? Phil Knight, Nike. Like, we're Oregon. Stop that. So Oregon's going to win this game. They're going to be hyped up. They're going to be ready.
Speaking of Nike, did you see these shoes that they're wearing?
No, I didn't.
They're gonna change colors throughout the game based on like the players' like body heat.
That's cool. That's a very Nike thing to do. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so you're taking Colorado to cover. I'm taking Oregon to cover. Right.
Yep.
All right, and the over of 69. Take the over. I think this is gonna be a high scoring game.
Yeah, take the over.
All right. Next, 2 3-0 teams, Memphis and Missouri. Missouri got a big win last week against Kansas State, 3-0 on the season. This game is actually going to be played in St. Louis. Artie, Missouri, 6.5-point favorites, over unders 51.5. Talk to me.
Missouri's kind of surprising. So is Memphis a little bit. I know I'm supposed to, pull for the American, and I do, but I don't know. I like Mizzou in this game. I think Mizzou's going to win. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be close, but I think Mizzou wins. Memphis covers. Mizzou wins.
Okay. Yeah, I think Memphis covers. I could see Memphis even winning.
Yeah,
they've got a stout defense, so this is one of the more interesting games. I think whoever wins this game, honestly, should probably be ranked in the top 25 next week. I do think that. So we're going to take Memphis to cover, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next game, Artie, the battle for the Iron Skillet. TCU, SMU. TCU's a 6.5-point favorite, over under 63. Neither team is what I think anybody thought they were going to be this year. SMU is still very good. TCU is still pretty good. I don't think they're as good as everybody thought they were going to be. Everybody thought these two teams were going to be like top 25 teams going into this year. Mm-hmm. Give me TCU to cover. I think TCU wins by a touchdown.
This is a rivalry game. They don't like each other, and this is a tough because I can see SMU winning this game. I really could. And this rivalry feels like the kind of rivalry that like goes back and forth pretty much every year. But I agree. I think I agree with you verbatim. I think TCU covers, and I think they win the game.
Okay, so we both agree on that one. Let's see. All right, Artie, I couldn't find a line. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't find a line on ECU Gardner Webb.
They said we don't care about this game. We don't care.
The closest thing I could find.
They said nobody's betting on this game. We don't care.
If you're betting on this game, you are an absolute degenerate.
You are the most sicko there is out there if you're betting on ECU Gardner Webb.
Josh, clip this and send this to sicko mode or sicko committee. Because if you're betting on this game, you are deranged. Gardner Webb at East Carolina. I did find an estimated line because I couldn't find a real line, Artie. East Carolina is a 16.5-point favorite estimated. I don't agree with that at all.
Not the way we played. No.
Over-under was 56.5, the estimated over-under that I found. I got scared there for a second. I found a line where it said Gardner Webb was favored in a game, but then I realized I was looking at a past basketball game. If I had to set the line, Artie, I would probably set it at ECU minus. I'd probably set it at ECU minus 9.5.
Okay.
I feel like that's a fair line. I'd probably set the over under. I would set the over under at I like the 56.5. I'll leave it at that. So let's use my line. I'm Vegas. ECU minus 9.5. Gardner Webb covers.
Yeah, I think Gardner Webb covers. What's your score?
Oh, shit.
Come on now.
I went first last week.
Did you?
I did.
Oh. I'm thinking 27-21 East Carolina.
I'm thinking 30-24 East Carolina.
Okay.
All right.
27-24. Gardner Webb is going to have a lead for at least a quarter of this football game. They're going to have a lead for a while. But I think ECU comes back and wins.
All right. Artie, let's start getting out of here.
Let's do it.
Thanks again for following us along on Variety Sports Network. Shout out to the Variety Sports Podcast Network. Go check them out. Lots of great content. Follow us on social media. If you want to be in talks and want to talk shit to us, that's fine. I'm just going to laugh at it. But we are putting out a lot of great content. That's why we brought on Josh. Excited about this. Josh is something we've been talking to Josh about for a long time now, probably a better part of a month and a half, it feels like, which I guess in the grand scheme of things isn't that long of a time, but something that we've been talking about needing here at the Boneyard Podcast for a while.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow us on social. We're going to be putting out more content there on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. We already do a lot on Twitter. We got 8,600 tweets. Crossed over the 3,000 follower threshold this week.
Come on now. We 3K, baby. We appreciate you. We salute you.
Thank you. And subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening, subscribe on YouTube. We have a lot of fun with it. We're gonna be doing more stuff now that we've got Josh on the team. We got a lot of fun stuff planned over the next couple weeks. And leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. We really appreciate you listening. We do this because it's fun for us, and it is a way for us to kind of talk about sports and talk about ECU and have a good time with it. Look, we don't try to be the world beater journalists out there. Like, yes, we're trying to get scoops. We have scoops. We try to do things. But we're, like I said earlier, we're fans of a team first, and then we're a podcast second. So yeah, leave us a review. Let us know what you think. Leave us a 5-star review, and you'll be a friend of the podcast forever. Artie, that's all I got.
Hey, good episode. It's late on the East Coast. It's time to lay it down. But we appreciate you, Power Nation. We love you. Wash your hands, wash your butts. Deuce.
Peace.